Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Furlong and welcome to Ask Dr. Furlong. This is our Facebook Live segment that we're going to be doing today. I've got a very special guest with me. This is Sally, one of my patients who recently had a specific type of surgery that we're going to get into in just a little bit. I do want to talk about that. Welcome, Sally.
Thank you.
The reason I chose Sally and asked her to come in and work with us on this Ask Dr. Furlong Live segment is because Sally has had some very unique needs with regard to her vision when she came in to see if she was a LASIK candidate. And due to some of the visual demands that she exhibited and what she expressed to me what she was hoping to achieve, I actually didn't recommend LASIK to her. You know, LASIK is very popular, it's very successful, but it's not for everybody. LASIK surgery is great when it's appropriate, but Sally had some specific activities that she liked to do. When I examined her eyes, there were some specific concerns I had that LASIK wouldn't deliver everything she was hoping to achieve. So what I actually recommended to Sally is a different type of refractive surgery, which is called a refractive lens exchange. And a refractive lens exchange is different in that with LASIK we do surgery by using a laser on the cornea to change the shape and focus light, but a refractive lens exchange is working on the internal lens of the eye. And in fact what we do is we remove her lens and we replace it with a specially designed multifocal lens implant that will actually help her more than what LASIK could achieve. So what I wanted to do is talk a little bit with Sally about that procedure, but before we did that, I wanted to highlight a couple things that she mentioned to me during her pre-surgery consultation that was important to her. And although she worked beyond 65 and retired later, she had some very interesting hobbies, and one of which caught my eye and my ear is that she was into CrossFit for over a decade before I met her. And one of the things that she said was really important was that she was able to continue with that, but wearing complicated glasses and progressives was a hindrance to that. So Sally, I'd like to ask you a few questions if you wouldn't mind, just a little bit about your desire and what it's like to compete competitively in CrossFit.
Well, CrossFit's something I've been doing just a little over 14 years. I started out, it was one box across the street from where I worked, and now of course it's a huge multi-million-dollar organization. I worked my way up, and as the games started a little later into things, I participated in 2011 in the Masters Division, Women Over 60, competitively, and that was a wonderful experience. I was honored to be able to be in it.
So can you describe a little bit about what you do while you're competing? What's some activities that you do during the CrossFit competitions?
Well, every time they design a competition, it's a little bit different, but there's all the elements of CrossFit. There's weightlifting, there's running, can be jump roping, rope climbs, all kinds of different activities. That's the whole purpose of CrossFit.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned weightlifting. So this is Sally. I'm going to kind of hold this up here while she describes a little bit about what she's doing. I've got a few pictures, but tell us a little bit about what, this is during a competition?
That's during the competition in 2011, and that was part of a what's called the clean and jerk, and that's the first element of it. That's the clean, and then the next one is your slide afterwards, which is the jerk part. And we competed on that level, and it was one of about 6 different elements that we competed on.
How much are you holding weight-wise here? Can you tell?
Probably it's about a 45-pound bar with 2 10s on either side, so that's about 65 pounds.
That's great. Well, and you're not, a super, hulky, big, tall woman. I mean, that's a lot of weight. That's awesome.
No, I'm 5 feet tall.
There's one more there for all of you guys to take a look. Sorry, I had to show them that.
Oh, okay, that's okay.
But that one looks good. So you can see that if you were, sweating or straining or, lifting your head, and to see your best you need glasses on, obviously not really conducive to that.
Right, absolutely not.
Can you talk just a little bit about going through the surgery and what that was like?
Well, I was pleasantly surprised. First of all, I have to tell you that all of the people that I've come in contact when I've come here in the office have just been superior. The help, the comforting, the answering questions, not only you but your staff have been, they put me so at ease, and I had no concerns, and quite frankly I was stunned. And the most stunning part was after the surgery, driving home in the car with the plastic cups over both eyes. I looked down and I was able to see my phone and read it without any glasses on, and that was absolutely stunning to me.
Well, that's great. I mean, and the actual surgery that we're talking about, this refractive lens exchange, is really very similar to performing cataract surgery. The biggest difference in cataract surgery is that we're removing a lens from your eye that's become cloudy and actually blocks light from getting back to the back of the eye and focusing. Whereas with the refractive lens exchange, the lens is technically clear, but it's lost one valuable function, which is the ability to see things at distance and simultaneously see things up close with clarity without going back and forth with a different prescription. And so the lens implants that we use are deemed multifocal lenses because they give you a larger range of focusing compared to traditional lens implants. And the other thing is that because you chose this procedure, which is better for your overall visual requirements, you're never going to need cataract surgery.
I know.
You're done with that.
And you told me that really cataracts weren't much of an issue, but I have to comment that the colors and the vividness after the surgery was stunning. I spent a month telling everybody how blue the sky was and how green the trees were.
Well, you know, and that's one of the things that as cataracts develop, and again, you didn't have very significant changes to your lenses, they can have a very gradual impact on your vision. And if we take your lenses out and replace them with these custom design lenses that are intended to stay in the rest of your life, people will comment. They'll say, you know, vivid, the colors are more vivid, or I thought that was a navy blue and it turned out to be a purple.
Right.
Those kinds of things are oftentimes positive unintended consequences of doing a refractive lens exchange. We invite you to submit questions online. We're going to get to those in just a little bit. But I did also want to touch a little bit on, you've got some interesting history as well, and one of the things, being a Bay Area native, is I read that you were a Majorette for the San Francisco 49ers back in the day before they were even a Candlestick. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. From the time I was about 5 till I was 17, I was a baton twirler, and part of that was being a Majorette for the San Francisco 49ers. We'd go to the games at the old Kezar Stadium, and then annually we would go down to the 49er Ram game when those were down in LA.
Oh, very cool. Well, that, yeah, before the Rams left and then came back,
right,
obviously, recently as well. We'd like to open it up for some questions, so we'll go ahead and take a few questions now.
Okay, and how many pounds can you deadlift?
Well, my PR is 240 pounds. I've had a couple of injuries since then, so I'm working back up to that. But yeah, that's something I'm really proud of.
And do you do the squat lift too?
If you're talking about the clean and jerk, I'm taking a break from that because I have an injured shoulder. But all of the moves I typically do. I rotate sometimes if I have a particular issue because I am 71 years old, so you do get aches and pains, and so, but yes, I do all the lifts.
And how many pounds did you do with this?
Well, most recently a clean and jerk, probably not more than about 72 pounds. My PR on a back squat was 185 pounds.
Wow, that's impressive.
Well, yeah, well, right at the moment it's not quite 185, but I'm still working out. As a matter of fact, I'll be working out today.
How often do you do a competition? How often do these come out?
The competitions at CrossFit are once a year.
Okay.
They have regional and then annual, and I've only participated the 1 year,
Yeah.
2011.
Oh,
That
that's
was
great.
kind of a bucket list thing,
Yeah.
and it's gotten much larger, and it's really worldwide now. So I'm sure the competition is much more intense.
I have a brother who does a lot of this now. He's in his mid-50s, and he picked it up pretty late as well. But he really thoroughly enjoys it. as well. And I'm glad to see that you're able to still do those kinds of things, and especially keeps you very agile and fit as well. We'll take some more questions.
And do you jump rope as well?
Oh, yes, recently, because of some injuries, I've been trying to concentrate on doing jump roping, and so I've got my singles up to 153 in a minute.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, and what is next on your CrossFit list? This is from Tommy.
Next on my CrossFit list is actually, one of my trainers is working with me to incorporate into my workouts the fact that as a youngster I did juggling. So I'm working on reviving that in my life, and with the assistance. So
That's awesome.
Dr. Furlong, can a person who has RLE eventually develop cataracts? But I think you answered
Yeah,
that.
I did answer that. So a cataract is a lens within your eye that you were born with that through aging changes, becomes cloudy, and during the refractive lens exchange procedure we remove it. So there's no way you can develop a cataract from the new lens. The lens is manufactured, it's an artificial material that will stay inside your eye the rest of your life. It doesn't need to be upgraded or changed or polished or anything like that as you age. It's a permanent vision correction, and we've been lucky enough to have these technologies over 10 years now for patients whose goal is to not have to wear glasses really much at all, if that. Do you own a pair of glasses?
as a matter of fact, I'm glad you asked me that. I went out after the surgery and got some sunglasses to wear, and I tease my husband now because I put them on like a headband and tell him that glasses are now an accessory.
Not a requirement, but
That's
an accessory.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, that is actually kind of nice, is people who do wear corrective lenses, whether it's glasses, sometimes even depending on their prescription with contact lenses, one of their frustrations is they always had to buy prescription sunglasses, and they're really expensive. Being able to shop off the shelf, right? Your vision's corrected, you no longer have a prescription. You have so many more choices.
Yep, I go to the dollar store and I have three pair.
Very nice. Any other questions?
Yes, doctor, this is from Tommy. And this is actually for you, Sally. Did you say an immediate yes to having this procedure? And talk a little bit more about the process you went through to make that decision.
Well, I initially came in asking about LASIK, but once Dr. Furlong explained things to me, for me, I'm a person that once I make up my mind and I'm going to do something, I'm heading right into it. There's not a long decision process. So yes, I made the decision and I couldn't be happier. It's just thrilling to be able to see distance fine, to be able to see close up and read the tiniest of print. So yeah, for me it was not a long decision process.
And that's why I recommended not LASIK for you, because there would have been limitations, you know. If you have LASIK past the age of about 45 or 50, generally speaking, you're still wearing glasses for reading, for your close work or looking at your cell phone, and that's just because the eye muscles have gotten a little bit weaker. But we bypass that problem by doing the refractive lens exchange and using a multifocal lens.
Yeah, it's extremely impressive. It's just almost unbelievable.
You answered a lot of this, but Dr. Furlong, this is from Lauren. Can you talk about why you would recommend RLE as a vision correction option? A little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, as we have different procedures depending on a patient's visual needs and their age primarily. Young eyes between the age of 18 and 45 generally have a significant function to the natural lens of the eye. So I don't typically recommend a refractive lens exchange when you're under the age of 45, because you will lose some ability, at least, unless we use one of these different lenses for your up close vision. So, you know, the younger a patient is, typically the better candidate they are for LASIK. But when you get into that kind of middle age and a little bit older, we want to be able to achieve much more for our patients, and we generally go for a lens-based solution like a multifocal lens with refractive lens exchange. Or some of my patients who come in with visually significant cataracts, we recommend these lenses as well if that's their goal.
Is the cost for RLE similar to the cost for LASIK?
LASIK is a little bit less expensive than RLE. These lenses are very costly to make. Their surgeries are done in a surgery center with an anesthesiologist, so it's a little bit more involved compared to LASIK. So it is a little bit more costly for the refractive lens exchange, but it's a permanent solution. So we're up on our 15 minutes. Thank you for watching Ask Dr. Furlong. I really appreciate you attending it. If you submit questions online following our live broadcast, I'll be happy to answer those as well. Sally, thank you so much for your story and your juggling expertise, and the fact that good luck on the future CrossFit competitions.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay.